Welcome to DBL. A city-wide candlelight vigil was held last night in Nashville, and the First Lady was there to pay her respects to the 6 people who lost their lives in the school shooting. Speaking of which, once the FBI is finished with its analysis of the shooter's manifesto, it will be released to the public, which leads us to our question. Should the manifesto be released? What do we think? Jeff, what's your opinion on this? I
have a strong take, and if government isn't going to do anything about like gun control, and we could go back and forth about that all day. They need to change laws like this, right? Because this manifesto lets other people read it and then somehow copycats become involved. The people who shoot up schools have nothing going in their lives. They're complete losers, and that's what they are. They've never accomplished anything in their life, so they need to be told what to do. They need to see something. If someone writes a manifesto, it might encourage them, hey, maybe this is what I've been chosen for, right? Instead of getting the mental health that they need. I don't like this. If we could change our laws just strictly maybe about gun control, maybe that's the reason why, but it's also just murders in general. Netflix, Lifetime Movie of the Week, we're obsessed with it. If it's not the year later, it's a 10-year anniversary of this. Let's see what's happening with them. Jeffrey Dahmer would get fan mail in prison. These people, and again, if I was running politics or running government, I would have the death penalty immediately after they came out of that school or whatever, that school shooting, and you'd be put to death the next day. No manifesto, no reason why you did it, no sexuality involved. I don't care about any of that stuff. You're a school shooter and you murder children and other people. You should be put to death. Nobody should remember you, and we shouldn't check in 10 years later to see how you're doing. You know what's interesting? I texted him over the weekend or something, and I said, Rick Scott has now put a bill out for immediate death penalty for school shooters. So Jeff's anger about all that is not so extreme, knowing that is a deterrent that's been put on the table. I want to give you guys an example of what manifesto means. The definition is a public declaration of motives and intentions by a political party or an avant-garde movement. And the main thing you were talking about is this called mass shooting contagion. And it's when the releases of manifestos then contribute to the other manifestos. Some people even copy and paste the manifestos into it. And it's, again, it's a copycat. If we see it, we do it. To me, it started with Kaczynski. They reported his entire manifesto. The Unabomber, excuse me, in the New York Times. It was, you could read the entire thing. Now people want to know because they're crime hunters. I agree with Jeff. I don't give a bleep about this person, what they wanted. They don't deserve a second of my time.
I mean, you guys are coming at it from the angle that you don't care, and you don't because you're functional. I definitely care. I don't want to know. I don't care who they are. You don't, yes. Because you're functional, the reasons why people. But if you release a manifesto, if you release it to, what are there, 330 million Americans? Mm-hmm. How many people are going to pick out things in that manifesto and they're like, I agree with that. I agree with that. Totally. I mean, we don't have a manifesto when somebody commits domestic violence and puts their partner in the hospital. They don't go, well, here's why he did it. Here's the motive. You know, he was really mad because he thought she was talking to her ex-boyfriend. No one cares. You put your hands on somebody, you're going to jail, buddy. And this should be no different. Exactly. I don't want to hear your reasons. Oh, let's take more time out of our lives to hear what this psychopath is. And then people associate with that, right? I was picked on, therefore I'm going to shoot up a school. That doesn't equate. And because someone else was picked on, they're like, me too. Well, I'm going to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then I'll be remembered forever because now everyone's going to talk about it for the next couple of days on the news. We need to stop. We need to stop.
I think we're all in agreement. Yeah. I wanted to play devil's advocate there, but yeah. Okay, so speaking of the Nashville shooter, lots of news organizations on the right are highlighting the gender identity of the shooter and what some are saying is an effort to push more anti-trans rhetoric. So first, take a look at this New York Post headline saying, quote, transgender killer targets Christian school. Then check out Laura Ingraham's show on Fox News. She branded the shooter, quote unquote, a trans killer. Tucker Carlson did something similar on his show. He used a picture of the shooter with the words trans killer. He also included a banner that reads, "We are witnessing the rise of trans violence." So, does the shooter's identity matter?
Yeah.
You think it does?
Absolutely. To news outlets.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, not to the people burying their loved ones. I was just going to say that. Not to the people, and we continue to talk about the kids, Sam, but let's not forget that 3 adults lost their lives very courageously trying to protect those kids, so I don't want them to be lost when I talk about this. But yeah, it does matter to people that need to, first of all, have headlines. What do you want to lead with? The fact that, Fox News had some embarrassing texts and emails leak? Or do you want to say, see, we've been telling you guys this because this not only drives viewer content and they can charge more for ads, but also campaign fundraising. Hey, I'm out here fighting for you guys.
But how come it's only when it serves them? Because you never hear 99% of mass shootings, school shootings, are white males. That's just a fact. That's not me pinning something to try and be opportunistic for my own views. But they're being opportunistic for their views by when there's a trans person or a Muslim, which is far and few between, the 1%, then it's used.
Right, because this is their wedge issue. I tuned into Fox, and I don't mean to make it like that, but I tuned in to see what would be happening, and they didn't mention the shooting. The second they said it was a trans person, that plays into our narrative. Trans are bad. That's the wedge issue of the day. Trans and drag queens. Put it up, put it up, put it up. And you learn less about the people that actually died and the policeman who bravely shot that monster than about all of this trans thing. It doesn't mean anything about what's going on. Their red meat to the lions is that. So they were lucky. They felt good that they could put that out there.
That concerns me.
Me too.
It's their business model. I don't know why it should concern you.
Because there's no morals in it.
It's going to lead to more anti-trans rhetoric, and that's scary to me because they're already disenfranchised. They're already the #1 community group of people who are targeted with hate crimes, attempted suicide, and suicide.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to extremes. I don't like when we do Tucker Carlson because it's extreme right? So it piles everybody on that side. I don't like when we do extreme left with CNN and MSNBC and all that. It's about school shootings and children getting killed. I don't care that the person's trans, okay? Now you guys are falling into the trap of the media. How dare Fox News do that? I don't care. We're falling into the trap. I said that sick person should be put to death. Luckily, they're already dead. People write me and they say, so you're saying trans people are sick? I'm saying people who shoot up schools are sick. Stop making it about something else. Stop putting yourself in this conversation when it has nothing to do with you. I have 2 kids that have 18 more years left of school. I'm not talking about trans. I'm not talking about Fox News or CNN. I'm talking about protecting children in school. Stop with the secondary stuff to inject yourself in the conversation.
Well, yeah,
felt that. No, I felt that. Thank you for that.
Yes, but I do.
I want us to resonate and pause because what you just said is so powerful. There's so much distraction out there, and I get it. You hit the nail on the head by saying why there's distraction, but at the end of the day, is it solving any issues? Is it protecting Jeff's children or your children or my children? No.
But it's important to point out, right? But like ignoring it to me is not a great idea because then we're not calling out this is a distraction. You should circle it with a red marker and be like, this is what not to do. If I ignore it, it just grows and it grows and it grows.
Then why aren't we pointing out things that CNN do wrong? Why isn't media pointing out things on the far left that MSNBC does wrong? I'm not sticking up for one or the other, but we're so driven in this country by media. If Trump does something, it leads everywhere. That's what everybody talks about.
It should lead
but it's not that he's a former. If Jimmy Carter does something, nobody cares.
Well, he was certainly no Trump. I mean, there's difference.
Exactly, because Trump is all bad and everybody.
No, Trump is a circus clown and he wants it that way.
See, I'm not getting in a fight with you about this.
We shouldn't even be talking. Jeff, the reason I was speaking about what I was talking about is that I don't want us to conflate the 2 issues. I think 3 kids over here, all of them still in high school, middle school. So trust me, every day I think about it. There's 2 reasons. Yes, this happened. It is a tragedy. Put that in a box. The other part that I was talking about is why why whatever you're seeing in front of you on your tablet, on your screen, is there. The reason that you see trans leading there is because it drives viewerships and it drives capital. So capitalism is its own animal. It has nothing to do with emotion, has nothing to do with you being a dad, it has nothing to do with somebody being trans or being only a Fox News watcher. It has nothing to do with that. Then you take the other box where you're talking about just how do we make money for our stockholders. The way that you do that is to lead with what your viewers care about. You've been pushing a trans narrative. You've been pushing a Christians are under attack narrative, and this falls into it, so that's why you see it. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it a thing.
It does make it wrong, though. But it does because it creates more divisiveness. But Jeff's point is we got to point out both sides. So of extremes, most people want change.
Right.
Most people want sensible gun laws. Most people will help their neighbor out if there's a fire or they're in some sort of distress.
I completely agree.
But we all of us focus on the extremes. And now it's okay to talk about it because when you point it out, hopefully you can grow and you can see it for what it is.
Right.
But at the same time, I think Jeff's coming from, and I don't mean to speak for you, just brass tacks.
Yeah.
Like, just Protect my kids.
And that's it. And I don't want, and every time I have a conversation, and not you particularly, Tori, but people like Tori, Trump did. I'm not having that conversation with you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Fox News. Okay. I'm not talking about the others. I'm talking about fixing the problem. Right. Okay? I don't want to debate politics with you. I know nothing about it. You win. Right. You win. I'm not debating that. Let's start focusing on the issues instead of pointing out what's wrong with everyone else's party, skin color, sexuality, everything else. Let's fix the problem.